Now we're live. Hi everyone, this is Shaman. It's Sunday and we're live today, and I'm going to be answering a couple of questions with my childhood friend who I call Nona. Her name's Winona and she lives in San Jose where I grew up. So I'm going to pause for a moment and see, is that you, Nona, that's on there? Say bless up.
Not on yet.
Okay, so I have Nona on my phone here, and she called me today, and she wanted to ask a couple of questions, and I thought that I would make our live stream today. Bless up, Kim. Our live stream today is going to be about these questions that Nona has. She's out in San Jose. We grew up together from about the ages of 5 to about 13, right, Nona?
Yes.
Okay. And we grew up together. I lived on Searcy, and what street did you live on?
Boise.
Boise Avenue in San Jose, California. So we're lucky. It's a beautiful warm day here in Minnesota. We're not always going to get this many beautiful warm days. I've got my hair kind of back in a tam today because I did my walk out in nature. So I'm going to say bless up, everyone, answering a couple of questions. So Nona, what was your first question?
Why is there so much excessive weight gain going on?
Okay, I don't know. So Winona's got a couple of questions. I'm going to go ahead and hang up, and you can type your question in, Nona. Your next one?
Okay.
Okay, bye, hun. I can hear an echo. Okay. So everywhere we look, and especially if you go into our local Walmarts, you go into our churches, our schools, our workplaces, we see people with these huge stomachs. We don't want to make fun of them because nobody wants to have a big, huge stomach. They don't. No one wants to be called bowling ball belly, or like the name of the book that I was talking about yesterday, wheat belly. But let's face it, everywhere we go, we see these monstrous bodies. And yet, when they look at a body of someone who's been a vegan for a long time, their first inclination is, why are you so thin? Are you okay? You know, and you can see that we have less weight on our body because the longer that you do what I'm going to tell you to do, which is to stop eating wheat first. The first thing you do, Nona, is you stop eating wheat. And gosh, that's really difficult, because if my son says, come on, Mom, let's go up to India Palace for lunch, and it's the middle of winter here in super cold Minnesota, they're going to have what I've always remembered and loved. They're going to have that fresh bread that they make, which is called naan. N-A-A-N. And I love the garlic naan so much, and I love to be able to dip my garbanzo bean, chickpea, and vegetarian dishes and spinach dishes in it. It's so good. But the price is then that the knuckles are going to be swollen, okay? The eyes are going to have a lot of bags underneath. We're going to get dandruff. But the number one thing is it starts to toy with the opiate centers in the brain. And it starts to make us really big because it plays with our hormones. It just bulks up weight. And they did studies after some of the World War where people were bread poor. They didn't have enough bread to circulate to everyone. And they actually started finding out, they made the first celiac diagnosis, I think it was 1953. And they found that when you took people off of bread and wheat and grains, many of their problems went away. So you take people off wheat, they lose the weight. Then you take them off dairy, they lose even more. Then you take them off factory farmed animal products, they lose even more. When you make cheese with casein, and when you have a lot of wheat products, muffins and pastries and pancakes and all the things we're used to, it takes self-discipline, it takes diligence to do these things, but you can do it. So what is your next question, Nona? I'll let you type that out. Bless up, everybody. It's good to see you on this beautiful Sunday. I came out to my car, but I might even be able to stand outside here. I don't know. So beautiful out. Let me see here. Oh, yes. Okay. What about all the fad diets? Well, every time we turn around, someone's talking about the paleo diet, the Atkins diet, the Mediterranean diet, this diet, that diet. We are designed, geared is what I like to say, geared to be plant eaters, and we do really well with it. So if we were outside, like the walk I had this morning, we'd be able to, like I often do, take a few really small, delicate wild raspberries. We'd know which greens to go for. We'd have lots of fruit growing on trees, and we'd be able to eat that way naturally and freely. But these diets that are out there, they come and go because they're the most profitable industry ever. If you look at the diet industry, they make more money than almost anyone, aside from the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies. The diet industries are going to tell people, go on a super high protein diet and you're going to be better. But in fact, what you're going to do is you're going to cause your kidneys to work extra hard to get all that uric acid that comes from eating dead animals out of your body. And that uric acid is going to burn out your kidneys, causing you to have some kind of a necrotic disease. So when you go into kidney disease, you're going to be going to the bathroom a lot. You're going to have more skin rashes. You're going to have a lot more of puffy eyes underneath because your body's not able to circulate because it's backed up with uric acid. So you might look really good for a month or 6 months on a super high protein diet, but after a while you're going to look really bad, especially if that protein diet is based on animals. Because animals, in fact, do not really give us, as humans, the kind of protein that we really need. So that's what I see there. And I know we had one more question, so I'll let you write that out. Bless up, Curtis. Hey there. So I'll wait for Nona to type out her question. I know we talked about a couple of them, and she and I were on the phone because we grew up together in San Jose as little girls. So if you're just joining us, that's Nona and I have that background together. We were talking a little bit about God. We were talking a little bit about spirituality, about the stress that we see in the world today, how the younger people are going through a lot of things that we could actually help them with and guide them with so that they wouldn't have to go through as many hardships, because the chessboard is getting trickier and trickier to go through. So let's see here. Okay, where are people? Okay, right. So this is something she and I talked about briefly when we discussed the questions before we went live today, is that I actually had a mother hit me up in the inbox about 2 weeks ago about her son developing schizophrenia. For some people, it's paranoid schizophrenia. It could be bipolar, it could be schizophrenia, it could be psychosis. And back in the 60s and 70s, when I was a little girl and growing into a teenager, you rarely ever heard about these diagnoses. I mean, they were really few and far between. And now today, it's every other person, that we hear about that's bipolar, and it's super common, or schizophrenia. And if you're a young person, you may have to go live in a group home setting because you might not be able to manage yourself anymore. But doctors, including the doctor that wrote Wheat Belly, who's a cardiologist in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and other doctors like the doctor that wrote The Calcium Lie too, and there's also the female doctor, her name, I just forgot, she wrote A Mind of Your Own, Kelly Brogan. She's a psychiatrist. Dr. Kelly Brogan, who's a psychiatrist who wrote A Mind of Your Own, talk about the fact that you can actually completely reverse these things, taking people off of wheat. And as I started to say earlier, Wheat interferes with your opiate receptor sites. Wheat has been proven to create audible hallucinations, hearing things, delusional behavior. It creates obsessiveness with wanting to eat more and other obsessive compulsive behaviors. And so wheat has been socially, genetically, and spiritually engineered to cause you a great deal of addiction, weakness in your life strength, and harm. And wheat is doing this because it's technically a gliadin, which is a type of a protein which goes in and totally infects and inflames your small intestine. So you might think, as you bite into that delicious lemon poppy seed muffin or that big plate full of pancakes that look so tall, if they're made out of wheat, if they're made out of even gluten-free flour, and this is really important, please listen. Gluten-free flours that are being sold with potato and tapioca starch are such high starch that they actually will spike your GI index, your glycemic index, more so than a big giant Snickers bar because the starch in them is so high. So I know for me, when I first started eating these pancakes that were made out of the Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour, you can buy it. It's called a 3-in-1 gluten-free flour. And when I first started eating those, I really felt super sleepy. I felt really congested. I couldn't think as properly. My eyes were still puffy in the morning. And so you want to avoid those gluten-free flours, and just, if you're going to eat grains at all, which I do really sparingly, either pure gluten-free oats or coconut flour or almond meal or what really agrees for you. Like, even though Dr. Sebi, who I respect so much and celebrate as my elder, with great reverence, recommended the spelt flour, it doesn't work well for me. It's too close to wheat. And so that's something I don't do personally myself. So schizophrenia is where the mind has become very plaqued up, and it's a predecessor, in my opinion, to the dementia and the brain tumors. And I feel that with my work doing the massage therapy for as many years as I did, and really intimately working with people's bodies, I started really picking up on, okay, I know my body because of the way that I eat, and I don't have cysts in here. I can feel that. I don't have them, I don't know, I can't lift up my arms as much here, but under my arms, because when you stay on this diet for a long time and you keep wheat out of it, you won't see those white patches on your skin. You won't have all the floaters in your eyes. You're really going to take yourself to the next level. And if we can get all of us to the next level, and I can bring this medicine that I've gathered for 33 years and help bring us as an elder guide, part of a council, this is always my mission, then we can really turn around people that believe they're stuck with a lifelong diagnosis of schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia. The paranoid part of it is coming from the food system because it's genetically engineered to trap you, just like the music system and the school system, the banking and the government system. They're all tricknology, okay? So I'm very fortunate. I got to learn from elders myself in the 70s, particularly also elders in Rastafari who brought information for me. There's times I've been angry because I felt like it's too difficult to get people to make change. And then I have to come into a place of peace and say, I can't force people to change. I can tell you the path that I've walked. I can tell you that I myself have lost it mentally. There was a time when I was raising little Zawa by myself that my adrenals were busted. My thyroid gland was inflamed. The free food that we were given was mostly wheat, Oro wheat, right? Lots and lots of bread. I remember going to the, I forget what they call it now, but you paid $20, $25 a month if you could, and they send you home with all this food, right? When you have no food, what are you going to do? And people say, oh, you're better than us, you got to eat like that. And I say, no, I've been eating like this for, decades, and if I change it now, I'm really going to be in trouble. But most of what you send poor people home with, is wheat. And the reason is because you're going to drive them into assisted living centers and more medications and hospitals sooner by feeding them wheat. So, I hope that answers your question. See, Kim. Oh, give thanks. Good info. Thank you very much. I'm honored. So, unless anybody has a question, I'm going to close off for now. Wheat is making our people obese, making our guys have bowling ball bellies. It's causing our children to have all these white crusty patches, and it's causing our women to go in and have to have their feet filed off. I see it all the time because I rent space by the month inside of a day spa, and then I bring my clients into a back room. It has a massage table, and it has a chair and two, has a table and two chairs where we sit down and do the wellness consultations. And then I use a tablet or my computer like this. The computer inside has a webcam on it to do my my wellness consultations with people in different parts of the world. So there will be a time and a place where those of us that genuinely are the elders, that have walked a long road, I am willing to step in place of having one person, take over all of the decisions that are made in this world. I prepared myself. I worked in the legal system. I've had, evaluations. I'm more than ready, willing, and able to do it, to be part of a council of elders so that we can bring people into proper movement. And that means people have to be willing to make some changes. And either that's going to happen by way of a catastrophic event, or it's going to happen, by way of mutual consensus is what I'm hoping, collaboration. And so most of what you see out there is artificial. Most of what you see, just like the false flag, but what you see also in these healing fields is you come out and you do this and you buy that, and it's multi-level marketing. And, Herbalife is straight scam. So if you don't know that, do your homework. Straight scam. Most of these wraps that you put on, most of these vitamin companies, those are drugs. They're harmful. They hurt your kidneys, your liver, your pancreas. Most people are rapidly developing scoliosis, mental health problems, paranoia, and it's because we've got to be able to feed people real food. We've got to set up food for us. We've got to have real living. And we need a woman to be one of the first to begin this, because a woman comes from the perspective that it's a world family, instead of it being a leadership, instead of it being just a teacher and you being a follower. And that's why I'm going to end on this note, that your religion has everyone wearing two lines on their neck, is because the nails and the cross itself were to drive you into a linear reality and out of a fractal-based reality. So, there is a question. Let's see if I can read it here. Hang on one sec. Vaccines, but I think... Oh my goodness, yes. So, mercury should not be injected at all in human beings. My entire mouth was filled with mercury as a child, and it was very, very painful to not only to get it all out, but to ride the waves of anxiety that I had parenting my son while I was getting it out. And most of the dentists are unaware of how to use a mouth dam and how to to capture that mercury as they're taking it out of the body. So, put this back here. Anyway, so mercury shouldn't be allowed at all to be used, especially with children. You know, I was 12 when they filled my entire mouth. So, a lot of experience detoxing. I'm about to do some hair tissue analysis, and then that's going to be, this is just a sneak preview for you guys, but that's going to be, I believe it'll be forthcoming on my website within a week or two at the most. I've had a connection with someone, and I'm going to double check my own, and then I'll do a live stream with you guys about what I see and what I believe it'll do for you. It'll be very cost affordable, less than $100, and I will offer you the lowest price possible. And how I make my conscious movement is after I review something really carefully, so you will have a definitive tool, because your doctors are not going to support you. They're going to keep you on these drugs. Coumadin, warfarin, is a blood thinning drug. That is a joke. That's a scam, and it's a fraud. And it's hard to get people off of it because the doctors are scaring people that it's necessary to keep them out of a stroke. And it is, if they're going to keep eating dead bloody animals and dairy products and cottage cheese and ice cream and all that stuff, then we will artificially thin their blood for them vis-a-vis using a medication, a drug like Coumadin or warfarin. But in fact, if you take someone and you cleanse their body and put them on a raw food diet, and you get them, transition them off of most of the other drugs like statin drugs that they're very hooked on to, which drive down the potassium levels in the body, and you have to know all about the minerals. This is what I guide people with, then you can take them out of these situations where they're no longer dependent on Coumadin, warfarin, blood thinners, because they're no longer putting pollution into their body. They're no longer starching up dairy, wheat up the body, and now they no longer need that. Don't expect your doctors to subscribe to this. I have a client right now who I've brought from a 30 to a 55% or 52% function on their kidneys, and the doctors absolutely can't believe it. And not once have they bothered to pick up the phone and call me and say, "How in the hell are you doing this? This is incredible." No one has ever picked up the phone in almost 15 years and said, "How are you curing people? How are you, honest to God, bringing people back?" And the blood tests are proving it. And over and over and over again, I'm ordering my own records from St. Mary's. My own tissue was completely examined, and it was found to have not a speck of cancer when they scared the hell out of me. And I went almost 2 years and healed myself from an ovarian carcinoma diagnosis. And that was because of my eating the wheat and collecting more fibrin in my body. So my body started making more calcified cysts. Okay? So I'm going to say so long for now. I love you dearly. Bless up, Brother Scott. And I wish you all the very best day. One love.